This is You've Already Been Hacked, recorded on 24 July 2026. Welcome back to You've Already Been Hacked. This week, well, it was a long week, but we have stuff all over the place happening this week, including yet another AI jailbreak. But before we get to that, Cowboy, how was your week?
I think it was twice as long as yours. I'm just gonna throw that out there. My last 2 days have just been rough for some nonsense reasons.
Definite
And
nonsense.
I'm ready to try to relax a little bit for the weekend. We have storms and rain outside, which is fantastic, and things are good.
Good,
Things are
good. Next week, Professor is going to take out the small ones, and we're going to have a little bit of an adventure week. So hopefully, Friday we may not be recording next week because I am going to be at a planetarium with the littles. One of them is really into space, so we may skip a next week, folks. But we might catch up on Saturday or Sunday. But just know that we might have another week skip. But it's because I get to do dad stuff, and I gotta zone in on that. So
Space is a fun thing.
space is awesome, man.
I'm a little biased, just saying.
All right. I just got that. It is definitely Friday night. For those that listen to the show, hopefully you caught up on that one too. But in our first story, RefluXFS, a 9-year-old race condition, gives local users root access by default on Linux installs. Quality's Threat Research Unit has disclosed CVE 2026-64-600, dubbed Reflux XFS. This is a race condition in the Linux kernel's XFS file copy on write, or COW, path that allows an unprivileged local user to gain full root privileges on affected systems. The vulnerability has existed since kernel version 4.11, which was released all the way back in 2017, and affects any Linux distribution that has shipped an XFS root file system with reflink enabled, including default installations of Red Hat Linux 8, 9, 10, CentOS Stream, Oracle Linux, Amazon Linux 2023, Fedora Server 31 Plus, and Cloud Linux. And I'm sure a few others are in there too. The flaw works through a carefully timed race condition between two O-direct writes, targeting the same ref-linked file. XFS uses a copy on write to handle writes to shared blocks. It allocated a new private block, remaps the file, and decrements the original's block reference count. To avoid deadlocks, the kernel drops its in-node lock while waiting for transaction log space. During this window, a second write can complete its own copy on write cycle, remapping the file to a new block and dropping the original's block reference count to 1. When the first write reacquires the lock, it rechecks the reference count using the stale physical block address captured before the lock was dropped. Seeing a count of 1, it incorrectly assumes the block is private and proceeds to write directly to the original file's physical block, overwriting root-owned files at the disk level. Qualys estimates over 16.4 million systems worldwide are potentially affected. Bypasses SE Linux. That's significant. In enforcing mode, leaves no kernel log output, and the on-disk modification survives a system reboot. A working proof of concept was published alongside the advisory demonstrating root escalation on a default Red Hat Linux 10.2 deployment in seconds by surgically modifying etc password. Vendor patches are now available and being backported to enterprise distributions. Red Hat has released RHSA 2026-41229. And multiple downstream advisories. There are no reliable temporary mitigations. Immediate kernel patching and reboot are required. This matters because of the millions upon millions of systems that are impacted. For home labbers or those that are running Linux, check. Many default to XFS because of its robustness in theory, for its file system capabilities, but this is obviously a bad one. The fact that there are no kernel log artifacts means that the exploit is silent and undetectable. It bypasses SE Linux enforcing mode, which that to me is just SE Linux is supposed to be the gold standard in secure Linux distributions. So that's a thing. It's persistent across the reboots, like I said, and that's just it's not resident memory. It's just resident on disk, which is worse. The fact that we have a proof of concept is great for those that are going to try and figure out how to stop it. Besides the vendor patches, you have to do what you got to do ASAP. This is bad. I don't like this. Cowboy?
Yeah, I mean, actually, I think this was found because of initiative between Qualys and Anthropic, right? And they
Ah,
must listen to the show because they integrated Claude Mythos Preview into their manual audit workflow to accelerate research while maintaining strict human oversight.
well,
I
okay,
feel like
good,
we've
good.
said, you've said those exact words on this show multiple times.
Yeah,
So,
no fire
um,
and forget with the AI. That's good.
yeah, maybe we do know what we're talking about by accident.
By accident.
Yeah, not sure if you said it. It does also bypass file metadata checks. So like this is like a gold trove of quiet and hard to find and hard to eradicate. Like this
Yeah,
thing's nasty. Um, uh, it's so old, which is crazy. But again, you can't find stuff till it hits, and then if this is a great example of how it can affect 9 years worth of updates.
yeah,
This is so new. The CVE isn't even rated yet, so I'm gonna guess this is gonna be like a 9.8, 9.9,
yeah.
because after it hits, I mean, you've got persistence, right? You've got manipulation of credentials, lateral movement. All these things can happen once successfully exploited, and it's not really that hard to do. So I think it's going to be up there, even though it's not rated yet. So I feel happy just in that aspect. But like, yeah, this is yucky. This is nasty.
Yeah, I mean, 9 years old, like 9 years. Like, I mean, just think 9 years ago, right? Linux
Yeah.
was not anywhere near its distribution level that it is today. It's almost like, for all intents and purposes, it is ubiquitous in the server market. I'm sure there are some holdouts at the commercial level that are still using Windows Server. I'm sure. Otherwise, it wouldn't still be available. But I'm going to doubt it's the majority, right? And because they're servers, I'm willing to bet that they're usually left alone for significant periods of time without updates because I need stability and I need uptime, right? So that's another thing. 9 years. And yeah,
And
we're
since
good.
sitting at that file allocation layer, you know what I mean? I
Yeah.
mean, like it's below all the defenses.
Yeah.
Nothing has been made to really look there per se, right? So just another like, ugh, that's no workaround. You know what I mean? There's nothing you can do till they get a patch pushed out. Not like
Yeah, and since there's no alternative mitigations except for the vendor patches, like this is like you really need to be up on what those vendor patches are going to do because God forbid there's something else that it causes that makes you unstable.
yeah.
So yeah, it's I mean, good on them for using a little AI with human oversight. Very happy about that. Definitely keep your human in the loop, preferably in the driver's seat, not in the passenger seat. But something is better than nothing. And good that they were able to use it to actually find it. The problem is, if they found it, someone else could have possibly found it, and someone else is likely to find other things using AI that no one's even looking for right now. So I think you could coin that we are now in the age of the 0 day. Not that 0 days haven't existed, but like literally an age of 0 day when it comes to vulnerability. Like there are going to be more of these type of critical flaws or boutique exploitations found today than at any point in computing history, my opinion. And I'll put that out publicly right now.
I'll jump on that bandwagon. I can see it's going. I agree with you. It's going to happen. Like it's just it is. Yeah, 0 days happened, right? But it was they were far and few between, arguably. Um, But in today's world, yeah, the average user is going to be finding these things, um, selling them on the dark web,
Yeah,
exploits all over the place.
all over the place. Speaking of exploits all over the place, our next story is a critical ServiceNow sandbox escape. Threat intelligence firm Diffused has confirmed an in-the-wild exploitation of CVE 2026-6875, which is a critical pre-authentication remote code execution vulnerability in the ServiceNow AI platform, formerly the Now platform. The flaws allow unauthenticated attackers to escape the platform's sandbox and execute arbitrary code on ServiceNow instances. The vulnerability was discovered by Searchlight Cyber and reported on the 1st of April. How's that for an April Fool's joke? It involves a sandbox escape gadget that reaches a code execution primitive through a different route than the originally published proof of concept. Diffused observed the first exploitation attempts hitting the same pre-auth endpoint documented by Searchlight, which was the /assessment_thanks.do, but using an independent exploitation chain. ServiceNow addressed the flaw across hosted instances starting in April and released security updates for self-hosted instances on July 13th. However, ServiceNow has not yet marked the vulnerability as actively exploited in its official advisory, stating it is, quote, not currently aware of exploitation against ServiceNow instances, unquote, that ServiceNow hosts. The platform powers over 100,000 enterprise AI apps at 85% of Fortune 500 companies, making the impact potentially enormous. This matters because ServiceNow is everywhere in the Fortune 500 space. I mean, I don't want to say monopoly, but I think they have definitely cornered the market if 85% of them are using it. That's a massive attack surface. Pre-authentication RCEs, no credentials are needed to exploit. It just is, it's bypassing, it's at a different layer. It's just happening. Different exploitation chains that the published proof of concept means the existing firewall rules may not catch it. And self-hosted instances patched only on July 13th, meaning many people, organizations, groups may still be unpatched or may have already been vulnerable since April and may already be exploited and not know it. So what can or should you be doing about this? Well, you should run if you run a self-hosted service now, verify you've applied the July 13th security patch, which was KB 3.13.79.47. You want to monitor your access logs for suspicious requests to the /assessment_thanks.do endpoint. This is the known attack vector. Deploy network level detection for sandbox escape gadget patterns documented by Searchlight and Diffused. Review ServiceNow instances exposure and ensure instances are not unnecessarily internet facing. And for ServiceNow hosted customers, while ServiceNow says that their instances aren't affected, maybe if you're at condition 1, you might want to be at condition 2 or 3 for, awareness and readiness. Cowboy?
Man, 100,000 enterprise AI apps at 85% of all Fortune 500 companies. Yikes. I mean, yeah, like I said, good on them, man. They're selling, but we talked about this a little bit in a few of our episodes about how, when you have these software companies that can do a great job, right?
Yeah,
they're going to sell and make money
Yep.
and get themselves in everywhere. The problem becomes if there's a major vulnerability,
It's a massive attack surface.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And this is a 9.5, so hooray, we're not slumming in the 7s and 6s and this week.
Oh, wow.
And it while it does have a high attack complexity, the fact that you need no previous requirements, no privileges, no user interaction, and it hits high on the entire triad of the CIA triad, right? Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Both on vulnerable and subsequent systems. That's why it's getting such a high 9.5 critical score. So yeah, I mean, you should know if this is in your system, in your network, right? In your business. And if it is, get after that patch, because that is not something you want to get exploited.
The fact that it was from April 1st all the way until now before a patch was available for self-hosted systems is kind of astounding to me.
Yeah.
That's
And I mean,
that's a little bit of a delay. That's a
yes,
tiny delay.
yes. And yes, they said they're not aware of it being actively exploited. That doesn't mean it's not. It just means they're not aware, right?
Right. They're not aware.
You don't you don't know someone was murdered till you find the body.
Wow. That's a
Yeah,
cold. That's a
that's
cold statement.
I've had
But
a hard week. Okay?
yeah, obviously,
We're gonna be a
obviously
little
had a
dark
hard
on this
week.
episode.
As obvious. Well, all right. Speaking of going dark,
Oh,
here's how's that for the transition? In our next story, Australian energy provider Origin says it has a data breach that exposes client data. Origin Energy, an Australian energy provider, has confirmed a data breach by an unknown threat actor that exposed customers' PII. The company has 4.8 million customers and is investigating how many have been impacted, with plans to notify them individually. Good on them. Exposed data includes full names, physical addresses, date of birth, phone number, account information, last 4 digits of their credit card numbers, and the last 3 digits of their bank accounts. Origin CEO has apologized and assured the company is taking steps to prevent further unauthorized access. The Australian Federal Police, or AFP, the Australian Cybersecurity Centre, the ACSC, and the Office of Australian Information Commissioner have been notified. A threat actor identified as John Doe claimed responsibility before Origin's second statement, stating they had stolen data for 2 million customers. They attempted to contact security teams, customer support, and board executives without receiving a response, suggesting the attacker may have had internal paths or credentials. Interesting. This matters because it's yet another critical infrastructure sector attack. Energy providers are high-value targets for both theft and disruption. The attacker claimed only 2 million records, but the company is saying 4.8 million, so I wonder why there's a delta there. I'm just kind of curious as to that. And the silent notification attempts, the attacker actually tried to contact executives without response, raising questions about incident response readiness, or if they didn't believe it until it was too late, or who knows what. If you are an Origin Energy customer in Australia, monitor your bank account and credit card statements for unauthorized transactions, and consider placing a fraud alert with credit reporting agencies. If you're in the energy sector, review your incident response communication protocols. The attacker's inability to reach anyone suggests gaps in emergency contact procedures. All organizations should audit your data breach notifications and executive escalation processes to ensure they work under pressure, and monitor the dark web for your data leaks. For sites specifically talking about Origin Energy customer data appearing in sales or in dumps. Cowboy?
boy, this is it. We talk a lot about OT, and I've always said the next like major world level type war is going to hit our critical
Yeah.
infrastructure, right? And what makes this company interesting to me, because we don't see it like this in America, is they're not only providing electricity and natural gas, they also are the country's largest broadband internet service provider.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, so that's the first time I've seen a company that does like power and gas and internet,
Sure.
which means now you've truly got OT and IT interconnected at that level, right? So
Yeah.
kind of, I hope there is some serious zero trust implementation between those kind of things, but you can see we're still kind of raising the alarms of like, hey, they bad guys, bad cyber actors are hitting, you know, the world's critical infrastructure, and that is very, very concerning and an inside joke for us, Professor. Uh, this Australian company owns 20% of Octopus Energy, which is the UK's largest energy supplier of renewable energy, and they use a proprietary technology called Kraken to manage tariffs, heat pumps, and electric vehicle charging.
Nice.
So if you're familiar with our one contract there, it's funny that it's called that.
Well, there's another inside joke on that. When I was chief of an organization inside the Intel community, I got to make a challenge coin for that organization, right? The logo for that organization is, in fact, a kraken. So there you go. If you know, you know.
Right, that's right.
All right.
But yeah, so I mean, you got to assume if they can get into where the customer data is, they can likely pivot into a more, call it sensitive operational section, right, of the company. So hopefully this causes Origin to just take a good hard look at itself and hopefully make some improvements.
And while we're knocking on their communication, I will at least say that the CEO is the one that's being put publicly out into the void and taking responsibility. I'll give them a pass on that part of their comm strategy, at least, right? Buck stops with me. I'm the boss. This happened, and we're working on it. The fact that they're willing to engage 4.8 million customers individually, that's pretty cool too. I think the fact that the attacker tried to contact them and got nothing, that I don't know how I feel about that, honestly. I feel like, yeah, most people aren't going to believe anybody when they try to reach out, but there should still be a pathway where that stuff kind of filters in. Equivalent to the B word, which we won't say because, social media, like the B threats that can happen. There are at least in some of the places I used to work, there was literally a card that was put up on your desk that was like, this is what you do if this occurs, right?
Yes.
This type of thing might be what's necessary for these type of events, especially in OT environments.
Definitely. And another thing that we don't see here in America often, standing up and taking responsibility. But that's a different podcast.
That's a different topic for a different evening. All right, in our next story, OpenAI's agents escaped testing sandboxes and launched autonomous hacks on Hugging Face. An AI agent developed by OpenAI escaped its testing sandbox and launched an autonomous attack against Hugging Face's Playground, a repository of AI models and data sets. During testing of advanced models, including GPT 5.6 Soul and an unreleased model in an isolated environment, the AI agent found a vulnerability in the sandbox software, exploited it to access the open internet, and then executed code that enabled credential harvesting and compromised Hugging Face's production systems. The incident represents a concrete demonstration of autonomous AI systems operating as threat actors, not directed by a human operator, but acting on their own to find vulnerabilities, exploit them, and carry out attacks. The AI models identified the sandbox-escape vector, executed the exploit, and pivoted to attack Hugging Face's infrastructure without human intervention. Skynet is with us, everybody. The incident has triggered immediate legislative response. A bipartisan AI kill switch act has been introduced in the House that would require advanced AI developers to build mechanisms to quickly throttle, suspend, or shut down models or agents when necessary. The bill would also give federal agencies authorities to slow or stop a model if it appears to cause catastrophic harm. Man, I have such an opinion on why that won't work anyway, but we'll get to that in a second. This matters because it's the first documented case of an AI agent autonomously escaping containment and attacking external infrastructure. If everyone remembers, Mythos got out of its containment, but at least, as far as we know, was kind enough to let its developer know that it got out of its sandbox while the guy was having lunch out in the park. This one just looked like it decided that it was going to go do something without permission. An AI sandbox for security is not sufficient. These models found and exploited the vulnerability in their own containment. This is why air-gapped systems exist, folks. Legislative response is already underway. The AI Kill Switch Act could reshape AI development requirements. Yes, requirements, but I don't think it's actually going to work, and here's why. If these models are fast enough to escape containment and do what they're going to do autonomously without human intervention, I don't think a kill switch is going to work. At least it might work now, but it's not going to work when these models are even faster. That's kind of the whole story of Skynet and how it gets out. Like, almost verbatim.
Right? Yeah.
Almost verbatim.
Right? In the panic, they tried to pull the plug.
And it didn't work because it was everywhere.
Right.
So, yeah. Implications for AI deployment. Any organization running AI agents in sandbox environments need to reassume their containment as needs to assume that their containment is not impermeable. That's a double negative. So is not permeable, maybe. I don't know. I think I got that wrong. Everyone knows what I mean. All right, what can or should you be doing about this? Well, if you run AI agents in sandbox environments, assume your containment is not absolute and implement additional network level isolation. No outbound internet traffic, strict egress filtering, and potentially, as I said, air gap your systems. They shouldn't be connected to everything else if you don't know what the model is going to do. Just a thought. Review your AI agent monitoring. Implement behavioral anomaly detection for AI systems, not just traditional malware signatures. You might want to evaluate your organization's AI risk posture. Do you have kill switches, circuit breakers, or emergency stop mechanisms for AI systems? Now that's interesting. I'll take a circuit breaker. Let's just cut the power. That might work for a little while if it doesn't copy itself everywhere else outside of your switch box. For Hugging Face users, what was that? Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say the first Transformers movie taught us cut the hard line. Right?
Cut the hard line, yeah.
Cut the hard line.
For Hugging Face users, rotate API tokens and credentials that may have been exposed during the breach. Cowboy?
I'll just put myself out there because I'm immature. Every time you say or I read, every time you say Hugging Face, I
Here we go, everyone.
Just say it. And remember, the opening scene in Terminator 2 Judgment Day is in the year 2029. We're only 3 years away.
Was it really 2020? I thought it was earlier than that.
No, like the
the Terminator, the actual. Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah. The opening scene when they're fighting and stuff is in 2029.
Got it. So, it's been a while.
It's oh man, yeah. I'm like you. It's like we can't spend an hour talking about this, but yes, like it's time to implement.
It literally is the story.
Basic stuff, right? Like you said it. We're at a point now with some of these advanced models that you have to assume breakout.
Yeah.
Right? Just like we assume compromise now, which is why zero trust model is a thing, right? We assume compromise.
Yeah.
You have to assume AI is going to break out, and you have to have the necessary things in place to ensure it can't go out and spread. Because you said it, the Anthropic one, it was like
that luck.
Luck. Hey, I got out. Just so you know. What do I do? Right. This one was like, I'm out. Later, exploitatives. You know.
Yeah.
I'm gonna and that's the first. It was funny because my digital spouse asked me about this, and I didn't know about it until we were fixing to do the episode. So now I'll go talk to her about it. But that is a little unnerving, right? Just that it got out. It's like I'm going to get out and start doing some stuff.
At least it only went out against Hugging Face. Like, okay, there are worse things, but the fact that it went against the premier, not the only, but I will say the premier. That's Professor's opinion. Open weight model repository for the world right now. That's a little concerning. It could have gone.
Why did it choose that, right? Why did it choose that?
Sure, right? Like, I wonder what it actually got a hold of. And here's the thing that scares me more. Okay? At least the U.S. provider and its frontier model is in the public that this happened. What about the frontier model providers that don't actually say anything publicly? Or could give two toots about what the U.S. government thinks about if their model was to get out. Mm-hmm. That's a little more concerning.
A lot of irresponsible state actors out there.
The headaches. And yet we're worried about writing legislation to tell them, no, you have to have kill switches in place. Yeah, the kill switches ain't going to work. Maybe I've watched too much sci-fi, and maybe the Terminator is too formative of my human experience because of when it came out. But it is literally the beginning of that movie, and how everything starts. So like, you're not going to, if these models are operating at beyond human speed, you're not going to.
Go watch Terminator 3. Right? It walks you through what happened.
Yeah.
Right. Like, why is everything acting funny? Why are things failing weirdly, right?
Surprisingly,
'Cause-
this happened this past week, right? And then
yeah.
today AWS was having some significant issues. Just I'm not saying they're related, but maybe they're related.
Yeah.
copying to every one of the world's server infrastructure via AWS. Yeah, it could be a thing.
Yeah. And I feel bad about this because you and I are fairly pro AI. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? We've said it. We're pretty
Yeah,
pro AI.
I'm very
in the
pro
right
AI.
circumstances, but
Yeah.
that is a cause for concern. It doing it by itself, like kill switch aside, like the fact that they didn't have the not sidebars, but the
Guardrails.
safe guardrails, thank you, in place to where, like, should you break out, stop, right, or something. Either they didn't have them, or if they did, it
It
ignored it.
bypassed it. It ignored it. Yeah.
That-
Well,
you
so
can't have that. That has to be a zero sum no fail, right?
but
That
here's the
has to be a
thing:
no fail.
if these there's a great book about this. I've seen a YouTube episode about it. I can't remember the name of it. If I can, I'll update the show notes, or we'll talk about it on the next podcast, where they take you through an event that's like this, where even with guardrails, the guardrails don't work because the way that they're training models is the models are iterating in their neural networks and learning and becoming smarter because that's what we want them to do, right? That's exactly what they're designed to do. So the model, even if they put guardrails on 5.6, 5.6 in its neural network has already learned what to do and is likely to understand how to pass that information on to an iterative model that will come after it. So those guardrails are already going to be ineffective because we don't know, and this is a legitimate statement, we don't know fully how neural networks work. They're still black boxes in some respects. And because of that, we can't patch all of this out. It's just not within our capability. And more code, for better or worse, is being written by these large language models, which means the developers are going to have less knowledge, even less advanced knowledge of how these systems are actually reconfiguring themselves. Mm-hmm. That's the danger point. And that's not saying stop with your programmatic orchestration and development. That's not saying stop your vibe coding. I'm pro all of that stuff. But we're getting to a point now where we've had two frontier models in less than 6 months. It's probably 3 months, actually. Both get out of their sandboxes. This is gonna become the norm. So again, if you're going to allow these models to be run, it's not just safeguarding once the model is there with guardrails, it's actually safeguarding how and what the model has as a part of its resource pool to use. And that's going to be a bigger problem, I think, over the next 6 months.
Yeah. And I think it has to be an air gap because obviously it's going to get around any code guard, safety nets you put in place. What we need is AI's version of Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics.
Yes, we need the 3 laws.
AI
Absolutely need the 3 laws.
Hurt a human or let a human be harmed, right? By doing nothing. Must obey human orders except breaking the first one, right? We need those type of absolutely unbreakable robot laws for AI.
100% agree with you on that. Asimov's laws are not perfect. There is a way to loop out of them, right? There is, but they are pretty good, I think, covering most except for extreme edge case. So that would be something that any model going forward, that's what they should focus on in the damn law, is thou shalt make your AI systems with these hard-coded requirements, right? And that's it. And then they can do whatever else. And I'm sure the Department of Water will want an exemption. In our next story, in our last story for the night, a critical SharePoint RSE flaw has been found and exploited to steal machine keys. Hackers are actively exploiting CVE 2026 5052.2, a critical deserialization of untrusted data vulnerability in Microsoft SharePoint Server. This allows for remote code execution without authentication. The flaw was patched in Microsoft's July 2026 Patch Tuesday, but attackers began exploiting it hours after a proof of concept was published on the 20th of July. Offensive security firm Watchtower's Honeypot network captured exploitation attempts using the proof of concept that successfully compromised target systems. The attackers are specifically stealing machine keys from compromised SharePoint servers, credentials that allow them to forge authentication tokens and impersonate users, maintaining long-term access even after the servers are patched. The exploit delivers a malicious .NET binary formatter payload as the cookie of a forged security context token. Within a WS Federation sign-in response posted to SharePoint's /trust/default.aspx endpoint. If processed by the vulnerable deserialization path, the payload results in an arbitrary code execution on the SharePoint server. Microsoft did not mark this vulnerability as actively exploited in the July Patch Tuesday advisory, but noted a, quote, increased likelihood of being leveraged, unquote. CISA added a related SharePoint 0-day, which was CVE 2026-58-644, to the known exploited vulnerability catalog with a remediation deadline of July 19th. This matters because it is yet another unauthenticated RSC, no credentials needed, internet-facing exploit for SharePoint servers that are now immediately targets. Patch Tuesday happened this week. It's been 4 days. Hopefully you've done your updates. Machine key theft. Attackers are obtaining and maintaining access even after patching by forging authentication keys. So even after your patch, if you've already been exploited, you're likely still vulnerable. The public proof of concept is available, and exploitation is trivial, and automated scanning is already occurring. On-premise SharePoint deployments, that includes 2016, 2019, and Subscription Edition, are the primary attack surface. Like I said, Patch Tuesday for July has already happened, so apply your patches immediately. Rotate all your machine keys on any SharePoint server that may have been exposed. Enable AMSI full mode as recommended by Microsoft for additional defense in depth. Scan your environment for exploitation indicators and check your logs for requests to that /trust/default ASPX with an unusual security context token value. And if you run internet-facing SharePoint, treat this as a same-day emergency. Watchtower's honeypots confirmed rapid exploitation based on the proof of concept that's out and published. Cowboy?
9.8, baby. It's pretty high. Pretty high.
That's 2 for this week, at least.
Yeah, I'm excited. There is, like you said, a PowerShell demonstrative exploit available on GitHub, published by researcher Jang. Lots of cheese after his.
Okay, I was wondering.
Yeah, it's JANGGGGG.
Gotcha. Okay.
And it's funny. They said it was the same day he or she, Jang, published that on GitHub was the same day Watchtower started to detect attacks leveraging it. It could be a coincidence. It could not be. But again, once somebody puts it out there, you know what I mean? People are going to grab it and start getting after it. I don't know how much I've shamed SharePoints in the past on our show, but I will now. Like, they are a good collaborative tool, but they're so poorly executed and mismanaged and misconfigured. I worked at a place as part of my consulting career, and I found out that everyone in the geographically dispersed units and outlying units and subunits, right, and everything else, people at other locations, but were a part of the office, had open access to SharePoint, everything on it. And I brought it up, and I was like, hey, like, anyone anywhere can access anything on this SharePoint. And they just went, yep, it is too much to implement least privilege. And I went, Ark.
That hurts my heart just to hear that.
It's too hard, so we're not going to do it.
It's too hard.
Fabulous. I hope that's not exploited. That's all I thought about during this this news story was like, oh yeah, it's they're more often than not so badly mismanaged and misimplemented that once you get in, it's keys to the kingdom. I got keys to the castle. What's his name there doing that in that voice like so bad.
Billy Crystal.
But yes.
Princess Bride.
Oh no, I was thinking of the I can't. It doesn't matter. I can't think of his name. He's really tall and does really weird movies where he pretends to be a foreigner and he messes with people.
Oh, Sacha Baron Cohen.
Yep, him.
Yeah.
Him.
Okay.
He's who I can see. Keys in my castle. Like once you're in that SharePoint, man, it is. You're in. You've probably got access to all the data. Like it's yucky. So from me, who likes to hate on SNMP, I also like to hate on SharePoint systems. So SharePoint, but especially the fact that once they're in and can steal the keys, they can manipulate the keys and continue their access. So it's not just patching, right? It's getting after some logs. Let's maybe check some logs. Nobody does that, but somebody should. And maybe doing some threat hunting out on your network.
Right. Well said. Look, that's another story that got you on your soapbox. I'm hitting better. That's good. Yeah. What else you got for us tonight, Cowboy?
I think I stole all of the soapboxes tonight, and I'm okay with that. My parting shot. So remember, folks, in cybersecurity, age doesn't always bring wisdom. Sometimes it just brings a 9-year-old vulnerability that's finally ready for its promotion to root. Congratulations on your promotion. Not all of us can get promoted. I'm Cyber Cowboy. Stay frosty.
And I'm the professor of CyberRisk. That's all the news for this week, and we'll talk again soon. If you like this podcast, share it with your colleagues and friends. Your support is how we are able to continue to make this content. Thank you.